We have all town board members here tonight, except Supervisor Cliff. He's home recovering. He's sick, so it was better not having him be here and get everyone infected. So, if we could, Brian, do we have any public speakers? Kathy, have them?
I saw on the motions tonight that you're going to have money authorized to Wendell for the proposal for the property, the fence on the Niagara Sanitation landfill. I just want clarification on that. Is that for the entire property, or is that just for the Love Canal section?
We'll be discussing that a little bit further into the agenda.
All right, so no clarification. Okay. Has Quasar approached the board about any modifications at the plant?
No, there's been no modifications.
No?
There's been no contact that I'm aware of about any modifications, no.
Okay. Is there any decision on the Quasar lawsuit?
No, from Judge Caruso, there has been no decision.
Pardon?
There's no decision issued yet from Judge Caruso. We're still awaiting that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Are we going down the list, or do you want to send order now?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot. Senator Ort's here for an important announcement. So,
Well, I didn't want to jump anybody who's actually a resident of the town of Wheatfield. So, but it's certainly my pleasure to be here. Mr. Councilman, Town Board, I want to thank you for having me. As some of the folks who are here, and as many of you know, as was announced today on the news, I have been able to secure $75,000 in state capital funds to construct or to help construct a fence around the Niagara landfill, Niagara Sanitation landfill, which is, of course, the site right on the border of Wheatfield and North Tonawanda behind Forbes Street. And, you know, for many, many years, the words Love Canal, as we all in this room know, bring with it a lot of emotion, a lot of bad memories, and certainly it brought international and national infamy to Niagara County and obviously to parts of Niagara Falls. And it's a reminder of our industrial past. Obviously there were a lot of jobs and a very different economy back then, but also the legacy of those industries as they left was something very different from the positive of, you know, the economic activity. It was illness, it was contamination, it was brownfields, and for 25 years the DEC had this site classified as a Class 3 landfill and said there was no threat to public health or the environment. They sort of inexplicably went in 2014, were able to convince Glen Springs Holding to pay for the removal of the Love Canal waste, which had been buried there in 1968 when they were digging up to construct the LaSalle Expressway. And after removing the toxic Love Canal waste, they then reclassified the site to a Class 2, which is more significant and does pose a threat to public health and safety. Now, this raises a lot of questions for me as a state legislator, and it certainly should raise a lot of questions, I think, for the folks here and for the residents in that area. How could the removal of that waste result in the site being worse? And, you know, I've had conversations with the DEC. I am not thrilled with them. I'm not thrilled with the lack, I feel, of keeping stakeholders and public officials in the loop on this. And more importantly, not really enforcing a lot of suggestions made in their own reports and in their own data from many, many years past. Now, I don't think anyone here was in office when this waste was buried there, and probably wasn't even in office when the last report was issued in 1989. But the bottom line is we all have a duty, I'm sure you'd all agree, to address this going forward. So I've been able to secure $75,000. I know that may not cover the entire cost. I have told Supervisor Cliff, and I'll tell all of you, if there is a need for additional funding, please let me know. I'd be happy to try to secure, you know, some more money if possible. But it's $75,000 right now. I think that'll go a long way to helping construct a fence this year to secure that area, to make sure we don't have kids and families and unsuspecting individuals driving ATVs, digging up the ground, playing back there. The DEC has told me they do not yet know the level, or the extent, I should say, of contamination as it exists today. And they anticipate no real work will be done until 2017. They have to do the report and the review in 2016. So you're talking about at least a year, if not more, that site will be as is. We have to secure it. We have to make sure we limit public access to that site, knowing what we know now and knowing that we still don't know maybe the extent or how bad it is. So $75,000 is going to go to the town. Obviously, you're going to bid it out and work with your engineer or whoever you need to get the fence built. Any more assistance you need from my office, please let me know. But I want to thank you for being proactive on this. So thank you very much for that.
Senator Ort, I think you were as much proactive on this than we were, but the town board thanks you, and I'm sure the residents in that area thank you to make their area a little bit safer.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Thank you very much for having me.
I'm here to talk about the library. Although I realize some money should be given to North Tonawanda, since Wheatfield residents do use their library, it doesn't seem right that North Tonawanda can demand a specific dollar amount from the town of Wheatfield. Niagara County supports all Niagara libraries located in Niagara County, as Orleans does Orleans County. It seems as though North Tonawanda is trying to bully or hold Wheatfield hostage, and bullying is not that popular these days. Perhaps a mediator should become involved to resolve this situation. Or here's a thought. How about Wheatfield not pay any money to North Tonawanda and do something like get an out-of-area card? You can do that for Erie County. You pay $20, you get to use all Erie County libraries for 6 months. For a period of time, $20, 6 months. If you figured out how many Wheatfield residents have library cards by whatever fee North Tonawanda, if they go that way and they want to charge residents, it might be less money to just pay the fee than to pay them the money each month, or year, I'm sorry. I really don't think anyone wants his or her taxes raised over this dilemma of library funding. So why don't you just say no to North Tonawanda's demands and go on from there? See what happens.
Thank you for your comment.
Kind of call their bluff, if you want.
And just a
Can
reminder, I think
printed
the
this
library survey is on our website in various offices in the town. I think there was a cutoff date of March 1st. I'm sure if they come in a little later than March 1st, that we still could accept those. But I think March 1 was the cutoff date for those questionnaires on the library. Thank you. Next.
I'm Karen Frieder from the Agriculture Focus Group. The town has tasked us with creating an agricultural and farmland protection plan, which we have done. And at this point, the committee would like to request, and it's already, I understand, on the agenda as a motion for it, but we would like to request that we move forward with adopting this plan into the town as it stands at the moment. So I know that there's a request for the public hearing on this to go forward, but we're just here to support that and to let you know that as far as we're concerned, it is ready to go.
Great. Thanks for your hard work, Karen.
Yep. Thanks, Karen.
Okay. He's got a presentation on Jacob's Ladder. It's a company that took over the Motorrad building, I believe, on Walmore Road. Is it a PowerPoint?
Yeah, it is. And what I did, instead of using that, I just printed out the go through real quick. I don't want to take an awful lot of time.
Yeah, we were all emailed a copy of that presentation this afternoon, so I think some of us have already previewed it, so you don't have to go into a lot of detail.
Looks just like me.
Nobody I know looks like that.
I'm Bob Polk. I'm the president of Jacob's Ladder. We currently build 3 pieces of fitness equipment at the Wurlitzer building. We've been there for about 12 years. And we have an opportunity, and I brought Chuck Bell along with me, and he'll explain half of this opportunity. Well, we have an opportunity to get some state grant/loan money to help in our expansion. And I wanted to give you a little bit of background about what we do, and then Chuck can come in and talk about the OCR grant/loan. Quickly, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this since you guys have already seen it. Our product was patented back in 1994. I bought the patent and the assets to the company in 2004 and started building in the Wurlitzer building. 2009, we had the opportunity to get on NBC's Biggest Loser, where we were exposed to about 15 million people. That led to a lot of growth, and in the last 5 years, we've grown at a rate of about 18%. Last 6 years, about 30%. So we've seen some rapid growth. We've had the opportunity to develop 2 more products, Jacob's Ladder 2, which is a product that is geared more for the home, and the Stairway product. Our primary market is health clubs and personal training centers, universities, the military, that type of thing. And like you had said, recently we had just purchased, actually 2 weeks ago, we had purchased the old Motorrad building on Walmart Road, and we're in the process of renovating that building to bring it to a point where we can move our operations from Wurlitzer building into the into the Walmart building. I gave you a picture of and a brochure of our products. Like I said before, currently we're manufacturing at 11,000 square feet. And we're manufacturing in 2 separate locations inside the Wurlitzer building, which is not optimum, and we don't have enough space. That was why we started looking a couple years ago, and we tripped upon the Walmart building about 6 months ago. I give you a little bit of an analysis, and you can read it. I'm not going to read it to you, but a little bit of an analysis of our customer base. We have professional teams. We have universities. We have 91 Division I universities. And the military, we do about 25% of our business goes to the military. Like I said, in the last 5 years, we've grown at about an 18% clip, and in the next 5 years, so our current employment is about 15 right now. We manufacture everything in-house. We're projecting in the next 5 years to double that to 30 jobs, and that's why we needed the Motorrad building. So I give you a little layout of the operation, but what we found out, or we ran into, was an opportunity for an Office of Community Renewal grant loan. And Chuck, you want to come up and talk about? Chuck can go a lot deeper into the and the requirements around the grant and loan.
Bring this down now. As Bob said, my name is Chuck Bell, and I used to work in economic development in the city of North Tonawanda, where I met Bob back when he started his the initial growth process in the Wurlitzer building. And when hearing about this expansion and this opportunity, we started talking about the opportunity or potential to use an OCR grant from New York State, OCR being Office of Community Renewal. Certain projects that have minimum investments and job creations are eligible for these for this funding. Jacob's Ladder's expansion meets those thresholds, meets those numbers, and is a very good candidate. One of the other things that's important is that the jobs that are being created are jobs that are available to pretty much anybody, any income level, any level of skill, and some of those jobs, or at least a certain number of those jobs are, and then that there's on-the-job training provided. So the reason we're here is the New York State Office of Community Renewal doesn't grant directly to businesses or lend directly to businesses. A municipality needs to apply for the money on behalf of the project. And it's something that, again, Bob brought me in because I've done it in North Tonawanda, actually on the municipal side of things, where we structured similar arrangements, and we thought that this might be a really good opportunity for the town of Wheatfield to start pursuing these kind of funding in the future, and really create the groundwork to not only help on the economic development side and help this company, but also create a situation where you're bringing new money in from the state. Potential grant, potential loan, hybrid would be, I think, what would make most sense here and what the Office of Community Renewal seems amenable to, with a small grant and a term loan. The loan repayments would then come back to the municipality. So there's a chance to kind of create an economic development revolving loan fund here if it's something that you want to entertain. So we're not here at this point saying, hey, go, no go on this. What we're really saying is, like to, put it forth to the town for consideration. This money is community development block grant money as administered by the Office of Community Renewal. This CDBG or community development block grant money, it's very, very important whenever dealing with this money that there's a citizen participation component in making decisions. So if this were going to move forward, there would have to be a public hearing where people could weigh in and get some more detail on the project. So not here today saying, is this something that you're open to doing and authorizing an application to be submitted for funding, but would like you to consider the possibility of calling a public hearing to move this forward. I'd be happy to answer any questions about what it means for the municipality to move forward on this, or if you want to do that at another time, happy to do that as well.
Well, the town just about a year or 2 years ago set up our own LDC, which is a local development corporation, which in order for you to apply for that, you have to go through the municipality. So I think we just found out about this about a week or two ago. So I was asking, why don't you go to the IDA? And I guess you can't go to the IDA. You have to go to the local municipality, correct?
That's right. There has to be a municipal applicant. But interestingly, and I cite North Tonawanda because it's what I know best. And as a matter of fact, I was brought in a couple of years ago to speak to the fledgling Development Corporation in Wheatfield to talk about what opportunities could exist in the future for the Wheatfield LDC. And this is one of those. In North Tonawanda, the Lumber City Development Corporation actually administers programs exactly like this on behalf of the city of North Tonawanda. So city gets the grant money, then grants it to the Development Corporation, who then provides the funding to the business. Repayments come back to Lumber City Development Corp, and all of a sudden they seed a loan fund that they can then use for other economic development. This could be the same structure here. It could be handled entirely by the municipality, or that kind of arrangement with the Development Corporation could make an awful lot of sense as well.
I guess our town attorney, Matt Brooks, would be quite involved with this process maybe going forward. Do you have all the contact information you need, Matt?
I have some. We met, I don't know, a week or week and a half ago. But I guess the question is, and back then, because I wasn't the attorney when the LDC was set up, I didn't have a lot of info on the LDC. I think we should certainly get them involved, because I think that's the type of situation we would envision where they get the money to reloan out to other fledgling businesses. But I guess the question now is if, and I know there's from what we discussed, a short time frame, do we schedule a public hearing at today's date or at our next meeting?
And it is a tight timetable, because Jacob's Ladder is going to begin making a lot of investment in this property very soon, and they're up against a lot of building expense, and also looking to hire and hoping to have the working capital to do so. So yes, thank you for, there is a time crunch here. Certainly be happy to come back and address the Development Corporation, if that makes sense, at any point in time prior to a decision being made by this body. But if you were in a position to call for a public hearing to give that consideration, that would really help on the calendar side.
Just to clarify, the nature of the public hearing that you're looking for is to whether or not the town is looking to go forward with applying for the grant, or?
That's correct. So, yes, so you call for the public hearing, have the public hearing, anybody could provide input. We'd have details on the jobs, why it's eligible on the program, what the investment is, and then at the end of that public hearing, reporting the information back to the town board to make the decision. Do we want to then authorize submission of this application to the OCR, Office of Community Renewal? Since there are those multiple steps, that's why it becomes time sensitive.
Matt, if you could word the motion, maybe, I'm thinking there's 2 meetings in March, but maybe the second meeting in March on, March 21st.
Well, yes, certainly we'll need time to,
Because that'll
to
give us
publish
about
and-
4 weeks, because I think our LDC is probably gonna have to have a meeting between now and then to at least discuss it. So we'll have, so that the LDC, the Wheatfield LDC will have some input at the public hearing then.
Correct. So I guess I would suggest, and we didn't prepare a motion for scheduling a public hearing on this, but roughly we could forward a motion to schedule a public hearing regarding the town's application for this OCR grant and the determination whether the town will apply for that. I guess some of the exact wording, if you have more information on that, we could get from you so we can properly publish it, but that would be basically scheduling of a public hearing, and for what, I think, date you said, about a month out.
How much time will we need for that public hearing? 10, 15 minutes, you think, or?
It depends on, tend to leave them open-ended if we can, depending on how many people want to come out and speak. But in my experience, they generally don't run more than 15 minutes to a half hour tops.
I'll make the motion to set the time of that public hearing based on what Matt read the motion at 7 o'clock on March 21st.
I'll second it.
I said March 21st, right? Yes. Roll call. Are all in favor? Kathy?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Opposed? It's carried.
And then just real quick, I will provide, this will also need to be published, a public hearing notice, so I'll provide the verbiage to support the resolution, but also...
yeah, if you could give me the verbiage and the exact language for the application and the name of the grant so that we can prepare the public notice.
That'd be great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, I think we have some extras of your paperwork here.
Was that 7 o'clock?
Yep.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Good evening. First, I'd like to say I would like to thank Senator Ort for securing that. I imagine it's a member item to get us started on this very important project. My only question is the timing of the motion to ask for a proposal from Wendell. It seems to coincide right with the grant. I know that we don't want to see all of that grant money going into engineering a fence. I'd like to lay it out there to the representatives from Wendell-Dushire, given the tens of millions of dollars they've gotten from the town of Wheatfield, and due to the importance of this project, and not just the residents, but the future generations, if they would perhaps consider doing the engineering gratis. Do it on a philanthropic basis.
Tom, the resolution, I don't want to interrupt you, but the resolution isn't for Wendell, but I think we're getting proposals from both Wendell
Yes,
and
to seek
GHD.
bids.
So
I just saw that.
Competitive proposals, so...
Are you seeking bids from other companies as well? Is it open bidding?
Well, I think it's not professional service, so there's not an RFP going out, but I know Randy Retzloff did indicate he'd like to see it go out to a few more engineering companies, so I think there was going to be a sort of a verbal amendment besides Wendell, GHD.
Hatch, McDonald, and Patterson Lee.
So it's going to be to about 4 companies, the request. It's written right now for 2, but I think we're going to amend it to 4, and as many of those companies will send in proposals.
Okay, thank you. It's just, I know I'm probably not alone that we'd hate to see the lion's share of the money go to engineering.
Oh, no, yeah.
We'd actually like to see the project started.
Yeah, we want a fence all the way around it. We don't want
Yes.
to stop halfway with a half a fence.
And in lieu of what he said regarding the DEC reports not coming in until 2017, I'd like to see that subdivision tabled until 2017, the Weaver subdivision. Now, granted, this puts a financial imposition on Mr. Weaver, and I think we should try and find some way to maybe assist him. He's been good to the community and so forth, and I think he got kind of caught up and bought some land that he didn't know what he was buying. I'm not sure what the answers are. I don't want to occupy the whole meeting. I'd love to sit down and chat with you guys or put in some kind of a written thing so I can have more than 3 minutes. But we'd like to see the money go actually to the project. And if Wendell could see it in their hearts to, throw us a bone, I would be eternally grateful to them. I think that would be a wonderful thing to do. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments.
Kathy State. I'd just like to say about the library that Wheatfield has got the survey for. I think it would be a real waste of money for Wheatfield to build its own library. I think it should stay with North Tonawanda, the Niagara system. I don't think we can need to have something to maintain, take care of, supply, and do everything when we can use so many libraries with what we have right now, not just North Tonawanda, but Sanborn, and go all over for the library. So I just feel it's a real waste of our tax dollar. I think there's other things we could use, and that's all I wanted to say.
Appreciate
and I
your
hope
comments.
people fill out their survey.
Right. Thank you.
Legislator Godfrey?
Real quick from the county, our air base. You see, there was good news to hopefully bring our tankers back to the base. We have the fuel system that's been laying there in mothballs. It's going to take a lot to put it back in shape. The Pentagon obviously did listen to us. Thank you to your own supervisor, and of course, at the time, Supervisor Ort from North Tonawanda, who personally went to Washington to fight for this base. We need to thank them because they obviously heard. So we hope that tanker commission is coming. It's not in concrete. Congress still has to approve that. The good news is a couple Saturdays ago, the new commander of the 914th just took command. Colonel Bowman, he is a tanker pilot. So that might be an indication that we may have the planes coming in. So that was good news. The other thing real quick, the broadband project that's been going for a couple of years now, the governor is now in the process of releasing $500 million of high-speed broadband. Our vendor of choice for Niagara, Orleans County, has been working with us. Seneca Solutions has been ready. They're shovel-ready to go. The application portal will open March 1st. We'll close April 15th. We're hoping to see that funding as early as June. And as soon as we do, we're ready to go. But that will bring high-speed broadband not only to our rural areas, but throughout all of Niagara and Orleans County at a speed of 25 meg, more likely 50 meg downloads, because the governor has proposed he wants 100 meg download. Those who don't understand, that's like light and fast. By the end of 2018. So, finally the governor has now releasing it. We continue to be on the forefront. We continue to be in the front seat of this whole project. Thanks to a lot of help from a lot of folks. Hopefully get that money and get our broadband out in our areas where we should. Any questions? I'll be here after the meeting if you have any.
Thank you, Dave. All done? Okay, for the record, we have all board members are present, with the exception of Supervisor Clift has been excused for illness. We have the approval of minutes from February 8th. Someone wants to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. We have a bill pay. Someone wants to make that motion for $124,623.75 total.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. On to department heads. Highway. Paul Sigmund.
Not much of a report, just we're 1 week closer to spring, the last full week of February, thank you. Just a reminder to the residents, if you have grates in your backyard for drainage, or grates in your front yard, I mean, there's thousands of them in town. Guys can't go around everybody's yard and clean them out. We had some melt off this past weekend, no real flooding to speak of except for a couple houses that had, there was leaves over the grates, that's why they have water in your backyard. I mean, if you know you got grates in your backyard, take a rake, rake them off. We also had some people that rake their leaves in the ditches. You don't take the grate all around and scoop leaves out of ditches. I mean, it's kind of the homeowner's responsibility to make sure that things like that are open. If your ditch is full of dirt, yes, we'll clean it out. But put your leaves in there, ends up blocking the ditch later on down, or gets stuck in a pipe, we have to go there and sewer jet it. So just as a reminder, spring comes and we're getting rains and hopefully not much snow to melt off. Please check your grates in your front yards and your backyards. I mean, I wish I could actually get this out better. I'm actually going to do something on the computer to announce it that people see it. Just take a look in the back. They're usually in your back corners of your yard. Go out and take a rake, rake them off, and throw them in the garbage. It'll help you out tremendously in the spring when we do start getting rain. That's all I have.
Great.
Hey, Paul, I have one quick question. I know very soon you're going to put your budget together for paving. Could we ever consider paving maybe this parking lot at the town hall, or don't you use your money for paving around the back lot here? I know the one catch basin is low, and, or how, is that a...
We would pave it, but you'd have to show me where to get the money. I mean, you guys would have to supply the money for that.
Okay.
I mean, it's quite a substantial amount. It was stripped, yeah, it was full of the truck, but we talked quite a bit of money to pave it. That'll take quite a bit away from the road. I can look into it a little more for you.
Okay. It's just the face of the town, and
Right.
it's a little, it's not real good out there.
I always believe that the town hall and the community center has their own operating maintenance budget. So they do? Normally that's where it would come from, yeah, right?
Okay.
Any other questions for Paul? Rich Donner, Water Sewer.
Just a couple things. We do have a truck out on Auctions International for bid. If anybody's interested in a pickup truck, there's one on there. So
Does it pass inspection?
it will pass inspection. Also, the old constable speed limit sign is on Auctions International. They'll both be on there until March 1st. So if anybody's interested in either one of those vehicles, please bid often and bid high. Another thing is, I have a report on the electronic waste we took in last year. In 2015, we collected 73,284 pounds of electronic waste. Now that's up from 2014, we collected 64,000 pounds.
Wow.
So we're up a little over 9,000 pounds from 2014 to 2015. So it's still coming in, and it's coming in more than ever. Just for the information. Other than that, that's about all I got.
When do the new water bills actually go online?
New water bills will be out in March. March water bills will be printed on the new system. They'll be sent out in a letter form. I believe the board has a motion on tonight that we're gonna be updating you. If you wanted, you'd be able to get your bill emailed to you and be able to pay online, so we can get rid of a lot of postage costs. I know a lot of people are interested in doing that now, so if we can get that taken care of tonight. I'm gonna try and get something out in the Tribune to that effect, and maybe a small picture of what the updated water bill is gonna look like, and also the information on how to get your bill sent to you by email.
Great. Thank you, Rich. Recreation, Mike Rinaldi. Building Inspector, Mike Clack.
No report, but a request for the board to consider my motion for my part-time building inspector, deputy building inspector. So I'm hoping that you guys have got that motion tonight.
Assessor, Bridget Growey.
I have one question.
Oh,
for Mike.
sorry.
Mike, we had talked last summer about redoing the concrete stairs in front of the town hall.
Yeah.
And they were gonna do something with the, I believe it was with the flower beds or something out there, and we said, let's start from the building and work out. Are we still pursuing that, to get that reworked and corrected this
Kind of hung out waiting for the spring to come back, because we got late in the season. We had a couple contractors look at it. We talked about a cosmetic type of situation. Then we got into more of a structural, repair. Hopefully, as weather continues to improve, we'll get outside, along with Mike Rinaldi and his crew, analyze what we're gonna do on the outside of all three buildings in the campus. Yeah, time going.
Okay.
I've got a quick question for Mike, too. Mike, last year at the end of summer, maybe in August or so, Wendell gave us a recommendation what to do in the community center to eliminate the moisture. It was some fan system or something, and you were going to take care of getting bids for us on it? That was last August.
Right, we had three contractors that looked at it. One contractor came back with a number was pretty ridiculous. Another contractor decided not to bid, and the third contractor suggested that was not the way to solve our problem. And we think that, well, the winter wasn't quite as bad as it was last year. I think with the addition of what we've done as far as repair with the Weeper system outside the building that Swoger Construction took care of during the repair, plus the e-trace that was added and the gutter system, we didn't run into the situation that we've run into over the last handful of years. Mike might be able to attest to that as far as how the walkways have stayed clear. We're draining the water off the roof. We're not getting our snow jammed, ice jamming, I should say. So I think that at this point, I'm happy with where we were, and maybe that wasn't the corrective action.
But
So we're just
this
gonna
year we
wait
had
and
a little
see
bit
then
of
what
snow.
happens, or?
You know, I don't wanna throw money at it, and I think that by watching what we've done this winter, probably a good thing we did wait on it. There is I had a couple of installation contractors also look in there, as far as maybe some additional work that's gonna help kind of cordon off the area around our air handlers. I think that would also help with that, and that's some work that we can do with our own people.
We had also asked last year about fire inspections, about getting a report, a monthly report on what was inspected and what needs inspecting. Whatever happened to that?
Along with it, well, our system is just up and running. We've worked with we started with the new YPS system back in.
It's not something that could have just been typed out for us in the last year?
Well,
Couldn't you just type the report out and give it to us?
No, just the two of us there, it's kind of difficult to handle every part of the fire inspections and building and property maintenance and zoning and trying to keep up with a monthly report. So, but going forward, the system is now up and running. Our complaint file is full, and so is our fire inspections. And so, along with you guys, the Fire Advisory Board will also get a monthly report on currently what we're doing as far as, or where we are with fire inspections.
Have you gotten those in the past?
So, and that's the intention. And again, adding that person that we talked about will free up my staff by putting Brian full-time fire inspector or more than that, so that we could concentrate, we're trying to make us more efficient. I think that happens by the assistance of, we've been short-staffed for 3 years. This position was open for 3 years. I'm trying to fill it. So I'm asking for that.
So is this something we'll be getting soon then, you're saying, or it's in the mail, or what?
Yeah, you'll start getting it 1st of March.
Great.
Well,
That's all I have.
Any other questions for Mike while we're talking to Mike? Assessor's Office, Bridget Growey. Great. Seniors, anybody, Arlene's not here, anybody else from the seniors? Wendell, Engineers, Tim Zuber.
Thank you. We only have one item on our agenda this evening, and it is again our Planning Board report for the month of February.
We had two meetings again. Our first was on February 3rd, and the first item on that agenda was Jacob's Ladder Facility. As you've already heard tonight, the applicant proposes to relocate their current business from the Whirlster Building to 6292 Wellmore Road in the Motorrad Building. The business will utilize approximately 20,000 square feet of the existing 35,000 square foot building for manufacturing of their equipment, and includes renovations to the office and sprinkler system and upgrading of electrical service. The project was determined to be a Type 2 action under seeker and does not require further environmental review, and the Planning Board approved the site plan with noted conditions. The next item on the agenda was site plan for Niagara International Sports and Entertainment. The applicant proposes a two-phase project for the eastern side of the Summit Mall. Phase 1 would include a 138,600 square foot domed sports field complex. Phase 2 would construct an 80,000 square foot enclosed hockey rink with two adjacent auxiliary rinks. The development would generate 12 full-time jobs and 30 to 40 part-time positions at full build-out. The project has received a height variance for the 110-foot high dome from the ZBA, and the FAA has also provided a letter that the project will not provide a hazard to air navigation. The applicant was advised of several items to review prior to their next submittal, and no action was required or taken. The next item is a site plan for the DePaul Assisted Living and Memory Care Facility. The applicant proposes to construct a 55,000 square foot single-story building to house an 80-bed assisted living facility coupled with a 34-bed memory care facility on Forest Parkway in the Woodlands Corporate Center expansion. The developer agreed to work with adjacent residences on the final landscaping design and the placement of trees for screening. A negative declaration under seeker was issued, and the Planning Board subsequently approved the site plan with several noted conditions and contingent upon engineering review. That was the February 3rd meeting. The second meeting was just last week on February 22nd. First item on that agenda was a sketch plan for Colton RV. The applicant proposes to construct a parking lot for employee parking. Their sketch plan that they brought in is similar to one that they submitted in 2014, where they were proposing a grander type of enclosed entrance at the facility, but they have since scaled back that and are simply wanting to make a parking lot out of the lot that was right next to the facility. They recently purchased and tore down the existing house that was on that lot. So that was a sketch plan, so there was no action taken onto that, and there were several things discussed with them to include when they come back with their formal site plan. The second and last item on that agenda was a site plan for Aldi's of Wheatfield. The applicant proposes to demolish the existing complex at 3939 Niagara Falls Boulevard, which is the Adventure Speedway, and to build a 17,825 square foot Aldi store. The project will provide a mix of full-time and part-time jobs for 12 to 15 people. The applicant obtained a parking variation from the town board, subject to several conditions. The applicant has made accommodations to address traffic concerns, screening, fire department comments, and concerns about noise and light. A negative declaration under seeker was issued, and the planning board subsequently approved that site plan contingent upon engineering review. Those were all of our planning board items for February. Any questions?
Yeah, I do have one question, if you could help me out, Tim. Back to the Bob Weaver information you gave us, disseminated to us. They tore down the house, and they're going to put a parking lot in there.
Actually, it was
Colton RV?
Colton Auto, excuse me.
Yeah.
Colton Auto.
Mm-hmm.
They tore down the house, and they're going to put a parking lot. So they have to rezone that? Was it residential, and now does it have to be commercial?
I think it's all commercial.
It was already on the
It was commercial with a home on it?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know that. Thank you.
Any other questions? No. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. We're through with department heads. Matt Brooks, our town attorney, will go through the motion list.
Yes. Before I do that, I just wanted to double check, was anyone here regarding the proposed pilot agreements for, okay, that's that gentleman.
Okay.
Did you sign in for the, one of the public comment sessions? The second one? Okay, one or the, all right, because
You want to go through that now?
yeah, that's on my agenda, before the motion, discussion of proposed pilot agreements for Aero Apartments and Wheatfield Commons, and I think, there's an attorney here from Bond, Schenck and King.
Just for
sort of to help everybody out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I've been going back and forth here with Attorney Brooks regarding these proposed pilot agreements for two DePaul properties development projects. One which was just referenced by Mr. Zuber here, the memory care facility, as well as the Arrow Apartments project, both of which are in the early stages of development. And as we're going through our due diligence with the various providers for funding and resources for the projects, one of the items which they like to see is that we have engaged the taxing municipality to have the pilot agreements, basically start the process, get the pilot agreements in place, and start the negotiation process with these as well. I have provided you with the draft pilot agreements, which I provided to Attorney Brooks previously here. The legal justification for each of these respectively. For the Arrow Apartments, I've also provided a structure chart for the ownership structure for it, and some facts, general facts about Housing Development Fund Corporations, which is the ownership entity for one of the projects.
Has the name changed? Originally, this was called DePaul, I thought.
Yeah,
I'm looking through and I see Arrow. I was first
yeah,
time
in the
I
early
saw that name. I didn't know you changed names.
Yeah, in the early stages of this, it had basically a general placeholder name in place for it. We have the ownership structure now. We have the ownership entities in place. Arrow Apartments Limited Partnership is going to be the beneficial owner for Arrow Apartments. The legal title holder is going to be Arrow Apartments Housing Development Fund Corporation, Inc.
So when was that switch over from DePaul to Arrow?
Well, DePaul Properties is the entity which is going to take title to the properties, and then we're assigning the contract of sale to the ownership structure that we have in place there. That's why I included the chart in the back there.
I guess one question we had, and one of the reasons why I thought it'd be beneficial if you came here, is you've indicated both of these developments by right, one being not-for-profit, the other I think a memory unit, by right has a pilot, entitled to pilot status?
Or
pilot agreement?
We'll deal with Wheatfield Commons first, which is the memory care facility. It's going to be owned by Vincent Properties Incorporated, which is a 501c3 organization, and under Section 420A of the real property tax law, it affords them a exemption from real property taxes. That's the as of right exemption.
Mm-hmm.
The Arrow Apartments is a little bit of a different structure. To basically break it down, the Housing Development Fund Corporation, which is going to own the property, under Section 577 of the Private Housing Finance Law, it avails, if you have that type of entity in the ownership structure, it avails that property to certain tax exemptions, sales tax exemptions, mortgage tax exemptions, as well as the ability to get certain property tax exemptions. They're not as of right; those are the more on the negotiable side. Wheatfield Commons is a different animal altogether. That's why I have included both Section 577 and Section 420A in the respective packages there, so you can review them if you have any questions on this.
These are gonna be like apartments, like 2 or 3 bedroom?
For Wheatfield Commons, it's going to be, I believe, 60 units proposed for the memory care unit. I think they're still sort of negotiating with the site plan exactly the number of units. Single occupancy, so 1-bedroom units. I believe they're going to have efficiency kitchens in them as well. Arrow Apartments is all going to be 1-bedroom apartments, I think with 1 supervisor's unit included as well.
1 person?
Yes, sir.
It'll be all limited? All these 60 units will be one person unit?
I believe so, yeah.
Is this gonna be run by Belmont Shelter?
No, sir. They're gonna be run by their respective ownership entities, which we're
Similar
gonna
to
have.
the way that Belmont runs? I'm just trying to get a feel for what you're doing here.
Yeah, I mean, they're both gonna be,
It's got their low income?
well, one of them's in a low-income project with, with funding from the Office of Mental Health, and the other one is a pure senior care, memory care facility. So they're a little bit different in terms of that scope. But they're both gonna have, supportive services for all their tenants. One from Office of Mental Health as well, and the other one is going to be, the memory care unit. I'm not really on that side of the deal. I'm pretty much a pure real property attorney, so the development side and the real property side, I'm here strictly for the pilot agreements.
And what was the, I know we discussed on the phone a little bit, is there a time frame necessary for these pilots to be either reviewed or approved, or?
Well, we wanted to sort of get the process rolling a bit early. I mean, essentially, we haven't really even taken title to these properties. We're still in the negotiation stage in terms of the contract of sale. We haven't closed yet, but we like to get these underway earlier. That way, the board, if they have any questions or there's any things we need to vet out, we can get that early in the process, so that when we get to a point where we do close and we start getting our funding sources in, we can have the pilot agreements in place.
Right. And these agreements, as we discussed, and I think it's beneficial for the board to hear, it is with regard to the real property taxes currently. Right now, town of Wheatfield, no town tax, but this would more affect county, school, but it does leave in effect any special district taxes.
Correct.
That we may have, water, sewer,
Correct.
Anything else, special lighting district, anything else that might apply, that remains intact. They still pay the full load with regard to that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of impact will 60 units, 60 people have as far as traffic?
I have absolutely no idea in terms of that.
Well, I think those type of issues are still, and I know Mr. Zuber reported those are still currently in front of the planning board, correct? Or?
Yes. I mean, I apologize. I was here. I thought I was just going to be strictly speaking in terms of the taxes aspect of the project. So I'm not super familiar with the residency programs and all that other superfluous information.
Both of those projects have been approved with contingencies by the planning board already.
And they've looked at, as Councilman Gerbeck said, with regard to the traffic studies, they've looked into all those issues.
They've already looked at traffic. They've both received negative declarations under seeker through the environmental review process, so they've all been vetted out with the planning board.
And they're all one person, like he stated? I just get a feel for this for taxes, whether we're gonna sponsor the school or...
From a site plan development, we're just dealing with the engineering, the technical issues with the site. We don't really know how they're working out, who actually owns the facility. We can tell you who the applicants are to the planning board.
Approved these projects already?
Yes, they did. They're both contingent upon engineering review, and they have not finished engineering review yet. The DePaul Aero Apartments is one that's still trying to figure out how they're going to handle their sanitary sewer. I think that's their last hurdle to get through. They have not come back with an alternative for that yet. The other facility, as I read in our planning board report, they did get approval from the planning board, but they have not submitted any of their engineering calculations and their final reports for that yet. So they don't have their final yet. But they have their planning board approvals.
With regard and to Gil's question, the one Wheatfield Commons, that is elderly and memory care, so they're not anticipating any children there for the school district.
Correct. It's strictly a senior
And
project.
the other facility is going to be one bedroom, so if there were any children, it would be probably, I'm assuming, pretty limited, or?
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, that project is going to be, it's for, I have it right here, it's for living for patients and for residences that have serious and persistent mental illness issues. And it's, that project is funded through the Office of Mental Health, so I'm not really sure there's going to be a children component to that project at all.
But in both of these plans, as the sort of proposals here, the pilot agreement, which is 30 years, after that it reverts to taxable, correct?
Correct. Absent any renegotiation that can happen in the interim. Correct. although, like I would say, Wheatfield Commons is going to continue to always be operated and owned by a 501c3 entity. So at that point, it's pretty much the payments in lieu of taxes for the Wheatfield Commons project is an offering from DePaul, and the fact, I mean, essentially that project would be tax exempt. They wouldn't have to pay any taxes. However, DePaul Properties feels it's in the, you know, it's basically something they want to do as a show of community support to basically enter into a pilot agreement for that to prevail to provide the community with funds in lieu of the services that the community will provide for the project.
In that particular example where it goes 30 years, at the end of the program, since they may be exempt entirely from property taxes, does that final year payment continue, or is that renegotiated at the end?
That's been negotiated as well.
At the end of 30 years?
Yes.
Okay.
And again, we wanted to put these in a preliminary stage. That way we can, Matt can compile any questions you have, and we can obviously come back anytime you need and provide further information as needed.
You're obviously building this because you perceive a need for this type of structure, but if this wasn't built, where would these people be housed? Where are these beds for assisted living and memory care? Where do these folks go now?
I have absolutely no idea. I would assume they're going to be the tenant populations are going to be from and as typical with these projects, they're usually local. So, and we just built one of these Ebenezer Square in the town of West Seneca, and I know almost the majority of the population base was within a 3-mile radius of the actual project. So they basically garner them from the community.
Okay.
They don't bring in from other communities. They're typically, the tenant bases are on a supreme local basis.
Well, and also for my work, I work with Niagara County Department of Social Services. I am aware that in the area, in many of the motels, strip motels, especially in the Falls area, a lot of those the county is putting up.
In lieu of housing, they place.
Yeah, in many of the motels and hotels, there are seniors living there, long-term basis, which I know from experience are looking for a place to go to. I mean, quite a few. I mean, it may not make some of those motel or strip motel owners happy because they may lose customers, long-term customers.
Yeah, I mean, there's a from what we've heard from DePaul, there's a dire need for both these types of projects in this community. I think that's why they chose a locale for it, and why they are investing a lot of money and going to the program funds to get these developed.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Any other questions from the board members?
No. Okay.
No.
Thank you.
And if anybody needs any more of this information, I can provide.
If we require more, we'll let you know. And
Okay.
We'll get some more. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Matt, we back to motions now?
Yeah, I believe
Okay.
we're back on track with the motions. First motion is a motion to reimburse an individual, John Cleary, for damages to his 2012 Hyundai Sonata and necessary rental expense in the amount of $500 for his deductible and $164.47 for his rental expense, for a total of $664.40, resulting from damages caused by a Wheatfield Town snowplow part that fell off a truck and eventually caused said damages. Said reimbursement will be contingent upon Mr. Cleary signing a general release in favor of the town or for any other causes of action and return of the snowplow part.
Anybody want to make that motion?
So move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Next motion is to schedule a public hearing regarding the discussion and review of the agricultural protection plan compiled by the town. Tentatively, the public hearing I put in here scheduled for April 4th, 2016 at, I'm assuming, 7 p.m. most likely.
Okay.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes.
Next Motion is to agree to assist the Frontier Volunteer Fire Company with a commitment as requested in said fire company's letter to the town dated February 14th, 2016. Said commitment would be subject to enter into an agreement with the Frontier Volunteer Fire Company for said assistance prior to the 2017 convention. Accordingly, almost done. Accordingly, upon the condition of entering into a usage agreement, the town of Wheatfield would agree to assist for the 2017 convention in the form of use of town grounds at the town hall, buildings, and infrastructure.
So moved.
Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Just like to make a real quick comment about that motion. It's an honor to have the Western New York Volunteer Firemen's Association come here again. We had it here 2 years ago. We're really lucky, the town of Wheatfield is, to have people in our fire halls like we do who get elected as president of these things. Bruce is in our audience tonight. He was elected president of the Western New York Volunteer Firemen's Association. That means he's president over 200 fire halls that are in this association. It's not only an honor, it's quite an economic thing too for the town. Every hotel and motel, restaurant, stores for 3 days are packed in this area. I know, Bruce, did you want to say anything about it, or?
We greatly appreciate the town's support in helping us host the convention and bring all those individuals from the 11 counties of Western New York and the representatives of the State Firemen's Association and be able to show them a good time and a great place to be.
Thanks for making the commitment, Bruce. I know there's quite a bit to it. That's it.
Okay. Next motion is to authorize the implementation of an online system for the processing of water bills and payments, which will allow the online bill payment by check or credit card that would automatically post the payment to the accounts of customers when payment is made. This resolution authorizes the implementation of said system and authorizes the supervisor to enter in any agreements necessary for said implementation subject to town attorney review. Understood the final cost has not yet been finalized and would be subject to final review or negotiation. And I believe there was also, that's the written part, but I believe there's also some consideration of the percentage of what the service charge might be.
Probably still have to negotiate that, or are we gonna set 3% like, some of us were talking earlier? You wanna do 2.75? As long as we're above as long as the town doesn't have any cost in this, I think the 2.75 took us above that threshold.
So if you want to add that to the motion, that's the service charge that covers the credit card company?
Right. Yeah, I think, it was also, and I thought that was in maybe from the provider, that there was a $3 minimum fee. So if you, they didn't want to do a water bill for maybe $12 and maybe get back 36 cents. So they wanted to add a little bit to the transaction so that the company, the credit card company doing this, wouldn't lose money on the transaction. So I think there was a $3 minimum.
So I suppose we can add that to the motion, 2.75%,
Right.
$3 minimum. So as amended, that would be the motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Next motion is to modify town attorney position of independent contractor to one half-time town employee effective next month, March 1st, 2016, pursuant to written proposal at the same rate of pay, together with agreement for additional litigation matters above and beyond part-time hours. Also together with provisions of attorney coverage from town attorney's firm of Jones, Hogan, and Brooks at no additional charge. Said position is would be half-time, non-competitive.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Next motion is to authorize the town to issue any request for proposals from Wendell Engineers, GHD Engineers, and we've heard the Verbal, we're adding Hatch McDonald and Patterson, I believe it was?
Patterson Lee.
Patterson Lee Engineers for professional service with regard to the design of a security fence and associated signage, including through the bid specification process for property known as a Niagara Sanitation Landfill site in the town of Wheatfield.
So move.
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Next motion, resolved to grant the State of New York authority to perform the adjustment, protection, and support for relocation of streetlight for the town of Wheatfield during construction, and agreement to maintain facilities adjusted via the state-led contract regarding the reconstruction and widening of U.S. Route 62, Niagara Falls Boulevard, from Cy Road to Bergholz Creek in the town of Wheatfield, Niagara County, and to further authorize the supervisor to sign said agreement, project identification number 5308.30.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Next motion, to authorize the town to enter into a contract and authorizes the supervisor to sign associated agreements, the proposal and acceptance, to accept the construction bid dated February 15th, 2016 by M.K. McKelly Construction for renovations to the Wheatfield Town Court offices. The contract includes prevailing wage for a total amount, including materials and labor, of $10,975.36. Said construction would be slated to occur the week of March 27, 2016 to April 3rd, 2016. Said proposal from M.K. McKelly Construction is the lowest responsible bid calculated with prevailing wage. Payment for said contract would be from the 2016 Wheatfield Town Court budget line.
Before we make the it doesn't say, but I would like to see possibly our building inspector maybe oversee this project, because we have to approve the bills, we have to approve when the work's done and everything's said and okay. So if Mike Clark, if you could oversee this and approve the bills so that when they have final payment, we know that the work's been done right and to code.
And if I could just add, I know, Larry, you had a previous question, did it include the carpeting? And they did, we looked into that, and they did send a little bit clearer language indicating there was an allowance in there for the flooring, carpeting. So that's supposed to be included according to the information.
I'll make that motion with the inclusion that the building inspector will oversee the project.
I'll second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
The next motion is resolved to grant the State of New York authority to perform the adjustment, and this is protection and support for adjustment of sanitary sewer line and manhole elevation for the town of Wheatfield during construction, and agreeing to maintain facilities adjusted via the state-led contract regarding the reconstruction and widening of U.S. Route 62, Niagara Falls Boulevard, from Cy Road to Bergholz Creek in the town of Wheatfield, Niagara County, and to further authorize the supervisor to sign said agreement, project identification number 5308.30.
I'll second.
On the question, so the first motion was just for a street light, and this one here is for...
Correct.
for the
The first
sewers.
one was for a town street light in the area that the construction, they're moving it. This one is with regard to sewer lines that are under the road or in the right-of-way, so they will move what's necessary during the reconstruction and elevation of manholes. I guess they're resurfacing the road, so they're going to be adjusting the manholes.
Okay, so it'll actually be two different contracts that will be engaged?
Well, yeah, and actually, at a previous meeting, there was one for the water lines, which we've already approved as well. So
Okay.
actually, in effect, there are three so far.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Next motion from Director of Personnel to adopt the part-time position of Deputy Building Inspector.
So moved.
I'll second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Next motion, again from Director of Personnel, to post and publish this, a position we just passed, a Deputy Building Inspector, immediately in accordance with relevant laws.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And the last motion I have is, again, from Director of Personnel, recommending to recognize administrative payroll changes regarding employee classification and/or wages, which I think corrects a prior payment mistake.
Do we have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
And I believe with that, that completes the motions, so that's it.
Okay, board member items, start with, Councilman Gerbeck.
All right, briefly, every meeting, I try to mention the Comprehensive Planning Implementation Task Force, our Comprehensive Planning Board. I actually have some applications here this evening. If you would like to take a look at them and see what's available. We do have an agricultural focus group. We have a green space focus group, civic activities, business development, the Veterans Memorial. We now have a disaster planning group, town center focus group, and now we have an energy focus group. If you're interested, please come on up here and we'd be glad to at least get you signed up. We would ask that you only probably partake in 2 of these at a time. Let you get your feet on the ground with those 2 focus groups so that you can really give it a decent effort instead of just jumping on and maybe joining 3 or 4 or 5. Please see me after the meeting. And our next meeting for this group is February 25th over at the Community Center at 6:30. We welcome any visitors. You're welcome to sit in and listen to the conversations that are going on. And that's my report.
Councilman Retzloff?
Agricultural focus group tomorrow night at 7 p.m. in the community center. We're meeting. And just for information, that Route 62 should be moving along. That was bid last Thursday. I know it was. I believe it'll be awarded soon. $5.5 million. So good. That should be moving. $12,000 the bid was within. That was a pretty amazing bid.
Wow.
On $5.5 million. That's all.
Great. Councilman Doucette.
I have some correspondence from Adams Fire Hall. They'd like to add Zachary Campbell, David Mangus, Andrew Gullio to their active membership roster. And I'll make that motion.
I'll second. On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I also have correspondence from St. Johnsburg Volunteer Fire Company. They'd like to remove the following members from their active roster: Nicholas Couch, Jack Meisner, William Zwolski, Cody Bio, Kyle Morowski, and Chris Evans. And I'll make that motion too.
I'll second.
Somebody else second it. I think Randy seconded.
On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And that's it.
I guess town clerk, Kathy, you have anything tonight? No? The only other thing I had, maybe Art, on the focus groups. I know we talked after the last meeting maybe about starting up a new group for environmental concerns. So just something to think about and see how
we did talk about it, and yeah, we're just figuring how to address it.
Okay. Other than that, I don't have anything else. So we can go back to, public comment. Yes?
Councilman Helwig, I had a question. About 2 weeks in the Buffalo News, in the real estate transaction spot, it mentioned that Indicon sold some land to National Fuel for like $225,000. I thought National Fuel was no longer interested in Indicon.
I don't think that's part of the, project, I forget the name of the project now, but the pipeline project that's going from Pendleton and into Wheatfield for the dehydration.
Right.
That's a completely separate project, so I'm not 100% knowing what's going on there, but I think that was part of that, project that they did, the, Mercaptan, that went, north of Lockport Road into, off of Walmore Road.
All right.
But,
Could someone check into that, please, just to make sure?
and your question is whether or not they...
It's part of the National Fuel 2016 pipeline thing.
It's not part of it.
You're sure?
I'm sure of that.
Okay.
Because we've already asked that question before, and we were assured...
I mean, that was a lot of money, $225,000.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that also. They must not get an easement for their line. That's the line they bored under Lockport Road. They must buy that property. They must have bought a strip of right-of-way for that gas line to go from Lockport Road. It goes to Walmore Road north and goes south. So apparently, I'm thinking that they buy that property rather than obtain an easement.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Yes?
You already went through the motion on the fence, so I'm gonna ask again for clarification. I just want to clarify on the fence for the landfill. It says for the property known as the Niagara Sanitation Landfill. Is that for the entire landfill, including the driveway and entrance? Or is it just the Love Canal section?
No, it's the entire site.
The entire landfill, like all 20 acres?
It's the entire, as far as I know, it's the entire landfill that the town of Wheatfield owns. And I think that encompasses the whole landfill, right?
The town of Wheatfield owns the entire landfill, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, this is, what the fence is for the entire property. Right now, the section that was the Love Canal, theoretically, that's the section that's cleaner than the rest, so they're not gonna just fence that, they're gonna fence the entire thing.
I'm glad something's finally being done. I'm just sorry it's taken 35 years, even with DEC suggestions, that this had to be done. I know you guys were not around at that time, but for 35 years it's been made a suggestion. And I'm just sorry it's taken this long and how many more people have been hurt going through there, but I appreciate it now being taken care of.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Matt, we don't have any other motions or executive sessions for tonight?
No, nothing on the agenda, nothing scheduled.
Okay, I guess we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.